Hello everyone. For this video, we're going to talk about rendering a sphere. So I'm going to do a demo, and I wanted to show you some stuff that I've done, so you can see where we're going with this. So these are some demos I've done in the past. This one done in ink. This one's done in ink, and basically I wanted to show you the ink ones because when I render the pencil ones, what happens is a lot of the line work disappears. So you just see that final render. You don't get to see all the lines that went into it. I'll do my best to kind of accurately display the approach to shading, but the reality is wherever we set our light source, wherever our light source is hitting, our lights are going to move into that light source. So we're going to move into that. We're not going to build up to it. We're going to come in from all directions. So it's important to understand that, like when we did our notes, when the light hits, it's going to travel in all directions. That means the values are going to get darker as you move away from this, or as you move towards it, it's going to get lighter from all directions. And you got to keep that in mind when you're shading and rendering. We're also going to take the approach that when we render, we're going to be changing angles. Okay. So there's a couple of things we want to avoid. We want to avoid being flat. We want to avoid our crescent being like a U or an upsilon, the Greek letter, because that leads you off the sphere, meaning it destroys the illusion of it being three-dimensional. Your crescent shape or your core shadow should make it look like it's going to connect. Now, we're doing practice right now. This is just to practice shading. It's to kind of get a hang of it. If you want to accurately really render a sphere, you need to look at a photo of a sphere, or look at one physically under lighting. So I included some of that earlier, and I'll share those photographs that I showed you guys in class today and on the previous video where I did the notes. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to establish where my light's coming from. Okay. Now, I'm not going to draw those rays that are coming down, right? This was just notes so we understand why we have reflected light hitting the bottom of the sphere and how everything works. We're also going to cast a shadow on this, which we haven't gone over yet. So I know my light source is being hit here, but I'm not going to draw that circle with the lines on it. I just have to know it's there. What I want to do is I want to go opposite. I want to go opposite of my light source. This is why we always want to put a light source down. Because it gives us a reference of where we want to go. And I know if I draw my lines straight down, it's going to hit there. If I draw the line straight down, it's going to hit right about there. So this is where that crescent has to be under, right here and right here. So I have my targets, and I can view it visually, but I want to point it out to you. So I'm just going to put a little arrow here, just a tiny arrow, just so you guys can see where my target range is. So now I'm going to indicate my crescent. One of the most important things that I want to get across is don't fight the curve of your wrist. Rotate the paper so you can get there, and then don't be afraid to adjust your crescent shape. So I'm just going to start indicating my crescent. I'm going to bring it up. Now, if this is where the light's hitting it, my shadow, my crescent, shouldn't go above there. I'm not really worried about whether you guys get that 100% accurate or not. What I really want to see is, are you guys taking that approach to drawing and rendering the sphere correctly? Are you working on making sure that you have your nice crescent shape? And I don't want to go too dark with my crescent shape. And I hope the light doesn't hit it. I might have to move this around because the light's so bright. But But again, there's my crescent shape. I have my target areas of where I want to hit. So what I want to do is I want to work into this invisible circle here. And this is what I'm talking about. I want to work into this part, and I'm going to start building up, and I'm going to start adjusting my angles. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be working on it, and I'm going to speed up the film. Okay, so I'm going to give myself a little cue. There's my little cue. So after this point, I'm going to speed it up. So what I'm doing right now is I'm adding my other values. So like where the reflected light's going to go, and then I'm going to start indicating my angles. So when I go in there, like right now, I'm putting in my angles. They're kind of like my map for the direction that I need to shade. And I'm working my way into where that light's going to be without actually going into that light. So that little circle that I've shown you guys in the demos with the arrows coming out of it, with the light going in all directions, I'm working into that. Except, when you're drawing it, you're not going to draw that circle with all the arrows in there. That was just a diagram to show you how you're going to attack it. And then right there on the side, again, I'm showing you those angles that I'm going to be working in and how I'm going to be doing it. So that quick little thing I did on the side, that was just me showing you the type of angles that I'm drawing and how I'm attacking it. And again, we're going west to east, okay, and we're also shading north to south. So when I change my angles, I'm changing my angles west to east, right? Or from left to right, right to left. And then I'm also changing my angles as I move from the bottom to the top or from the south to the north. And just like the inked one that I showed at the beginning where all the lines are kind of pointing towards the middle from all directions, that's what I'm doing with the pencil. The thing about ink, you can't blend those lines. So you see those lines, which is really good for a demo. For the pencil, you're seeing right now how it's starting to blend. And the more I work on it, the more it's going to blend. So we talked about this earlier with shading and rendering. The more times you go over something, the smoother it's going to get. The other thing you're going to notice is I have a pencil extender because my pencil got really short. So I add an extender to it. But I'm grabbing my pencil from as far back as possible so I can control my values. So it's important to understand that you need to maintain control over your values. And then I started to indicate the shadow drop and like a table for it to sit on. Now I adjusted the shadow after I finished filming it because I realized I came down too straight and that shadow needed to go off to the right. So I did make that adjustment. Um, and then I'm going to show you the picture with the lights off because see, every time the light hits it, it's really hard to see what's going on with that. So right now I'm just trying to bend it and fold it so you guys can see how it looks without the light. And then there you go. This is darker because I just took a screenshot. But I wanted you guys to see how it's blended. And that's it.